Hello everyone. We have a Chevy Tahoe here. It's a 2001 Chevy Tahoe. It came into the shop because it was not upshifting. It had a problem. So therefore what we're going to do is find out what the problem was and how to diagnose this situation. The code that it had when it came in was a P0758. So what we first going to do is hook up the scan tool to verify this code that the driver brought to us. So now when we hook up the scan tool and we turn on the ignition so that we can make sure we can access the computer system. Okay, right there you see the diagnostic trouble code information, and that's what we want. We want to get into the diagnostic trouble code information to verify the P0758 code that he said that he got from AutoZone. Okay, we see a few level sensor circuit, and there we see the 2-3 shift solenoid circuit electrical. So he is right, and when we move over to the side there, we see that it is a P0758 code. So what we're going to do is run the engine.
All the solenoids went to off. Just 2, 3. When I go to a stop here, going to 0 mile an hour. If you can see this, the shift solenoids show off. It defaulted to 3rd gear. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it off again. Put it in neutral, start it. And drive. What happened, the computer sees a problem and it defaulted. But what I saw in the very first instance was that the computer tried to command the shift solenoid. It tried to command it. Okay. We're gonna go back to the 2-3 shift data. We're gonna try to start this again. It's still in 3rd gear. Now you can see everything is on. It's in 1st gear. The 2-3 solenoid is on. 1-2 shift solenoid is on.
Look back here.
Put it in drive. On and on is first gear. Take off. Second gear off. If I come to a stop, you see that this is still off. So it's still saying it's in third gear. So the computer has gone into a default mode of third gear. You look here, it says that does it have an open or short to ground? There's no. But the shift solenoids are on in one gear. It's on. We start to accelerate. See if it feels off. And it's on. Now, the thing is when it tries to command it off, third gear, that's when you have a problem. So it's supposed to command it off. So then it shows that it's short to ground. And then what happens, it stays there. All right. So what do we do? Okay, what is going on? Let's go over this here. In this example, in drive, the way this system works, you have a 1-2 and a 2-3 shift solenoid. In first gear, as you saw on the scan tool, the computer has the solenoids on. 1-2 and 2-3 are on. When it goes to change to second gear, the computer turns the 1-2 solenoid off, and it keeps the 2-3 solenoid on. When it goes to change to third gear, the computer keeps this one off and goes to try to turn the 2-3 off. And in fourth gear, it turns the 1-2 solenoid back on and keeps the 2-3 solenoid off. Now, what happens, if you saw on the scan tool, first and second gear were okay. It's only when it tried to go to third gear that it had its problem. Now, if you see off and off, what happened is computer could not control this circuit, so it's saying. It could not turn it off. And what happens when it cannot turn it off, it goes into a default mode, which means it puts it in fail-safe, which is third gear. It turns everything off. Okay, it just cuts the power. So that's why as we went back down to 0 mile an hour and started to go again, the solenoids didn't change when it went back to 0 mile an hour. When it goes back down to first gear, they should be on, but it didn't. It stayed off. So it was in default mode, and as you started to accelerate, you would notice that it would not shift from 1 to 2 at all. So now we know the problem is somewhere here. And if we looked at the scan tool, we were able to see that at the bottom of the scan tool that 2.3 had a ground problem, because it said that it was a short to ground or there was an open. Now, I wouldn't say that it was an open, because first gear worked, second gear worked. If it was an open, this wouldn't be an on, and this would not have been on. So somehow there is a short to ground. Now, if there is a short to ground in the computer, which it could be, because this vehicle here has 200-some thousand miles on it, the computer itself could have it grounded and think that it is turning it off and cannot turn it off. You could have a driver problem. Or there could be a wire that is touching ground somewhere. Or there could be a problem inside the transmission itself. It could be grounded some type of way, maybe the wiring inside. So now the next thing is to see, how do you find this problem? What steps do you take? And there are a number of steps, various ways you can go about doing it, but we're going to find a way. The first thing we're going to do is get a wiring diagram. Okay, now we have the wiring diagram. What we have is a 2001 Chevy Tahoe 4.8 engine, and we have the automatic transmission circuit. And what you want to do is go over to the automatic transmission, which it says here, and you want to look for the 2-3 shift solenoid. Okay, and you want to trace that all the way over to the computer powertrain control module, and it tells you where it is, the left front of engine compartment. Now, the best thing to do is to highlight it so that you know what circuit you're working with, and it shows here a yellow with a black stripe. And that goes to the 2-3 shift solenoid, yellow with a black stripe. And it's B. The number would be B on the connector, or the letter, and on the computer itself it would be, what is it? 47. Yeah, it would be 47. So that's what you want to do. And then we're going to the next step. What we're trying to do is see if this control circuit is grounded. Okay. All right. Next step. One thing I want to mention that I forgot to mention is that the computer controls the solenoids by ground. Okay, if you look over here on the diagram, you have the TCC solenoid, you have the 2-3 shift solenoid and the 1-2 shift solenoid. On the back side, you see red wires. Those are your voltage wires. If you trace it here, it goes all the way up to the ignition fuse here, 10 amp, and it's hot and run, and then start and bulb test. Well, that line feeds those 3 solenoids, but the TCC, the 2-3 shift and the 1-2 shift are controlled by the computer, by their ground wire. So it makes the ground connection and disables the ground connection. Makes the ground connection and disable the ground connection. Now what it's saying with this code is that the computer cannot shut the solenoid off. Okay? Remember, in third gear, it's supposed to be able to shut it off. It makes no difference if it's on. The computer has it on, and if it's grounded, the computer doesn't know any difference that something else is grounded. It doesn't really care. All it sees is voltage on there when it should see it. But when it goes to turn it off, it's not supposed to see any current. Excuse me. It's not supposed to see current. In the case of voltage, it's supposed to see 12 volts. In the case of current, it's supposed to see no current. But it sees it. So we're going to see if it's grounded somewhere, that wire. So now we go to the next step.